You know, in today's society, people don't want to hear about God. They don't want to hear about religion. They don't want to hear about rules. They don't want to fund police. Who are you to judge me? Who am I to judge you? Do as you please. You know, don't give us rules. People are so almost obsessed with making lawlessness sound good, making the wrong choice sound like the right choice, and hating on people that make the right choice. So I'm not coming online to hate on you. I'm not coming online to hammer you or smash you or anything. I want to contemplate with you about the long-term consequences about forsaking God and forsaking the rules. What's going to happen with you? You know, so that you have a chance to think. When you're under the grace of God, you're not judged. The love and mercy of God stops something, right? That's what people don't understand. So when you walk away from God, when you walk away from church, when you walk away from whatever is good, you're doing things that are violations against universal law. And because you're under the grace of God, you're not hit by your karma. It's called grace. So the moment you forsake God and forsake heaven and forsake the rules, and the grace of God is lifted, where you're going to get stuck in is called karmic cycles, action reaction, whereby the system remembers what your forefathers did. It's key to understand. So when your forefathers had a very positive influence upon the development of the destiny of the West in whatever country, then the system owes you. And then you're going to walk around in life without grace of God. But your life is going to be fantastic because the system needs to repay you. So you have all kinds of people around you who will tell you what you want to hear, who will protect you, who will give you business opportunities, who will give you really what you deserve, what your bloodline deserves. You have privilege. If you're a king, your son is going to become the next king. Even when you're an evil king, your son is still going to become king unless you are defeated in a war. But if nothing like that happens, being a good or a bad person, believing in God or not believing in God, doesn't matter in that procession. So you have people on the earth, you just don't have anything. And you have people on the earth that seemingly have everything. That's called generational blessings. So most people here in the West are living on this bubble of generational blessings because of what your forefathers have done. And you're enjoying this privileged life. And you're saying, I don't need God, I don't need heaven, I don't need the rules. You use all that quote-unquote superpower energy that you inherited to make up devices and vices and philosophical twists to make the right things sound wrong and the wrong things sound right, because you don't want lesser people to feel better than you because you're the better one, because you have the fortune, you have the luck, you have the control, right? So those without that control should not lecture you. So you need to create this narrative, right, and make sure everyone follows the narrative. And because you have all the power, you can hammer it upon the whole world, right? It's a little bit that privilege. So when that privilege walks away from God and the grace is no longer over the privilege, it's like a ticking time bomb. It's a ticking a black hole coming at you, and at one point it sucks you in. And that's what people don't realize. And that's what I want to talk with you about this with you. So when the grace of God goes away and you have all these privileges and you rebel and revolt and you do all these things against the design, you do all these things that heaven don't want you to do, you're creating karmic links. So because you're a beautiful woman, I'm just using an example. If you're a beautiful woman, you have options. You can get married, as how heaven wants you to, but that puts all the power in the hands of one man. And that man might not really value you properly or make mistakes. So you can choose for security. That's what you will call it, security. It's making sure that you're in, right? It's the narrative. And then you can just make them fight, create competitions, and then you can ensure your needs against the design. Right, and you can justify and keep doing that, but all of a sudden you create something which is called soul ties. So in your family bloodline, because everyone got married down the line, there was no weird karmic activity that only comes into existence when you have sex outside of marriage with multiple people. So because the grace of God all the time there, and the generational blessings all the time there, you don't see that. Nothing happens. So you say it doesn't exist. However, the second your time stops, the second your time runs out, the moment your generational blessings run out, all of a sudden, all these energies come through those aether cables called soul ties, and you all of a sudden become that crazy borderliner. You all of a sudden become that crazy mental person that cannot find inner peace. All of a sudden, these energies, all of a sudden, these destructive emotional dependencies that people never had before, these mental instabilities, all of a sudden, all those issues, right? So, because of the grace of God and you not forsaking God, your karma does not come. So when you do business, you build a business, you have that privilege to have that position in society, and you exploit your employees like slaves, and your generational blessings run out, and you all of a sudden no longer are the business executive, and you apply for a job because your generational blessings run out, you can't rule no more. Under the grace of God, you're not going to feel that. But the moment the grace of God is gone, you're going to enter the workforce, and those karmic links between you and those that you exploited will enter the workflow and will be presented before you, the karmic administration. I'm just giving you examples. Simple examples that everyone can relate to. This is what happens when you rebel against God. So when you do a little bit of rebellion, next cycle, that little bit of rebellion will flow back at you. And through that karmic mirror coming back at you, you will jump over it. You will jump over what is known as the duality. The duality. Options. The right choice, the wrong choice. The more blessings you have, the more systemic credit. You do good, you build a system. You build up systemic credit. You walk around and people are in front of you trying to get you to do something, the right choice, and there are people going to be that try to get you to do the wrong choice. The amount and the power that they have reflects your quote-unquote value. And then when you make the wrong choice, you go in a certain path. And the more wrong choices you make, the deeper that path goes. And when you're under the mercy and grace of God, you don't enter that path no matter how deep, how wrong you are. So most people here in the West are going really wrong under the grace of God, saying they don't need it, sitting on generational blessings, and one after the other of you, it's going away, and you have these really intense, chaotic lives. And you're becoming angry, and you're becoming frustrated, and you are becoming traumatized. People are getting traumatized, having trauma triggers and stuff. Man, father, woman, young woman, sexy, relationship, all these words, right? These annotations with these words. These words trigger traumas in people. Ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend. That wakes up in you all these subconscious memories. Trauma triggers. People can't have a day in sanity no more. So the moment your choices lead to a timeline where you are traumatized, emotionally traumatized, your soul is so full of imbalance, whether that comes through a generational line or through your own choices, then that destiny is ending, and then all of a sudden you need to rebuild your destiny. And the more crime and the more rebellion and the more violations in your soul, the longer the journey is going to be to rebuild it. And sure, the governments and stuff are building suicide pots for you. That's not the solution, but the more crime, the more sin, the more violation, the heavier the karmic load on your soul, the deeper the negative cycle, and the longer it will take for you to get back up. And it can't come that you can't carry it anymore. And the moment you can't carry it anymore, those suicidal energies will fall upon you. You become suicidal because too many wrong choices. The prospect of going back up is taking too long. That's the price you're going to pay in rebellion. It's just because you don't want God's grace. So what's going to happen? You're going to fall under the laws of karma. So whatever falls upon you is just.